Our first story comes from a user who calls himself Suburban Watcher. He lived in a quiet cul-de-sac where everyone knew everyone, or so he thought. His next-door neighbor, Mr. Abernathy, was a friendly, retired widower who spent his days gardening. One summer, Mr. Abernathy's prize-winning roses started to wilt. Then his lawn became overgrown. Mail piled up in his box, and the friendly morning waves stopped. People figured he was on a long vacation, but then the nights grew strange. Faint, rhythmic tapping sounds started coming from the shared wall, always beginning just after midnight. At first, it was subtle, easy to dismiss as the house settling, but the taps grew more insistent, almost like a code. One night, our user decided to record the sounds. When he played the recording back at a higher speed, he was horrified. It wasn't random tapping, it was Morse code, and it was spelling out the same word over and over again: help. The next morning, he called for a wellness check. When the police entered the house, they found it empty. Dust covered everything, and it was clear no one had lived there for months. But in the bedroom, on the wall shared with our user's house, they found faint, bloody fingerprints matching the tapping pattern. Mr. Abernathy was never seen again. Next up, a story from a woman named Chloe who moved into a new apartment building. She was excited for the fresh start, but her downstairs neighbor quickly became a problem. He would play loud classical music at all hours of the night, intense, dramatic pieces that made her floorboards vibrate. She complained to the landlord multiple times, but nothing changed. One evening, fed up and unable to sleep, she went downstairs to confront him directly. As she approached his door, the music was louder than ever, a frantic violin concerto. She knocked, but there was no answer, only the relentless music. She tried the doorknob, and to her surprise, it was unlocked. Hesitantly, she pushed the door open. The apartment was completely bare. No furniture, no boxes, nothing, except for a single old-fashioned record player in the center of the living room, its needle spinning silently in the final groove of a record. The music she was hearing wasn't coming from the record player. It was coming from inside the walls. She slammed the door and ran. She moved out the very next day. The landlord later told her that the apartment had been vacant for 5 years, ever since the last tenant, a reclusive musician, had disappeared without a trace. Our final story tonight is one that will stick with you. It comes from a young couple who bought their first home next to a large wooded area. Their only neighbor was an elderly woman who lived in a small, slightly run-down house. They'd see her occasionally, a stooped figure working in her garden. She seemed harmless, but they started noticing odd things. Every night, without fail, she would come out onto her porch at exactly 9 p.m. and leave a bowl of milk by the woods. They assumed it was for stray cats, but they never saw any cats. One night, the husband, a bit of a skeptic, set up a trail camera to see what was drinking the milk. The next morning, they eagerly checked the footage. The first few hours showed nothing but rustling leaves. Then, just after midnight, a shape emerged from the trees. It wasn't a cat or a raccoon. It was tall and unnaturally thin, moving with a jerky, disjointed gait. It crept to the porch, bent down its joints, bending in ways that weren't right, and lapped up the milk from the bowl. As it stood up, it turned and looked directly into the camera lens. Its face was pale, with 2 large dark eyes and no other discernible features. The couple deleted the footage and never spoke of it again. They still see their neighbor put out the bowl of milk every night, and they make sure their doors are always locked. 3 stories, 3 ordinary neighborhoods, and 3 terrifying reminders that the scariest monsters are the ones you don't expect. So tonight, when you hear a strange noise or see a flicker of light from your neighbor's window, you might just wonder what's really going on. Thanks for watching. If you have a story you want to share, let us know in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe for more true horror. Sleep well.